Hey friends, athletes, happy Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Brianna Showman here, physical therapist and performance coach. Get your fixed physical therapy and performance. Overriding the system. I'm sure you're probably wondering what the heck I'm talking about. And I don't know why that term came to mind, but it did when I typed that up. Essentially, I'm meaning the compensations we develop when we move and the problems that they cause in the process of that. So I learned something interesting about myself today, last week, both, with my body, what it's doing to compensate. And I wanted to share that with you today because it's totally relevant into everything you guys are doing. So most of you know I'm dealing with a foot issue, and I met with a colleague last week, a good friend of mine, who thinks along the same lines that I do when it comes to functional movement and asymmetries and just really looking at patterns differently when looking at the body. And he was able to assess me in a way that I can't assess myself. So it was a good opportunity to get things looked at in a different way, further in depth, all that sort of stuff. And what we found by him looking at things were some asymmetries in my body and some compensations my body was making, which has created some issues with my foot. Through this conversation and through just thinking back of things that have happened with my foot, things that I've done, not necessarily my foot, but just my body in general, with training, habits I noticed myself falling into, patterns I noticed myself falling into, that the foot issue wasn't a necessarily result per se of what I thought was a result of me rolling my ankle, but more of it was going to happen eventually because I've been making some crazy compensations with my foot. And I didn't realize that until he had mentioned to me to really focus on certain aspects when walking. And in my head, it was just I was avoiding those certain things because of the pain I was having. As I've been focusing on that over the past weekend, I've started realizing I've been compensating for a crazy long time that I have to be meticulous and deliberate with how I'm walking right now to really set in this proper pattern, because my body hasn't done that for a really long time. So that was the first kind of inclination that something's been going on for a long time. My body has really, really learned to adapt to these other issues, these asymmetries in my body. So then we come to today, where I was doing back squats and deadlifts in my workout today. And as I was paying attention to what my foot was doing, really focusing on what my foot was doing with both those lifts, I once again realized I've been avoiding getting my foot flat, getting that toe down, making sure that toe is down for quite a while. That I really wanted to roll to the outside of my foot, and that's what felt normal to me, not this where I'm supposed to be pattern. So it just really got me to really think about and be aware of what my body's doing, and then it got me just thinking that who else is going through this besides everybody who's injured or potentially dealing with issues, and just generally everybody, because our bodies are so good at overriding the system and overriding what patterns are normal and really creating these new patterns to allow us to function in what it thinks is an optimal way, but eventually is going to cause problems. So I want to share that with you guys and give you something to think about. What issues are you dealing with? What tendencies do you notice your body doing? Maybe always catching your foot on one side, or maybe you always notice one leg flaring out. Just what things maybe do you notice that are always one-sided because those are the sorts of things that your body is compensating in order to, or that like things are happening with your body that aren't symmetrical, that aren't normal, that you might want to consider looking into to make sure these things or other injuries don't happen to you in the future. So that's what I got for you. I would love to hear what things, like once you really start analyzing things, once you start breaking things down or just assessing as you're thinking about your body moving and as you've listened to this, like what things are you noticing that might not quite be an optimal pattern for your body? So share those below. I'd love to hear the answers you have. And have an awesome rest of your day, guys. And we'll talk soon. Bye.